gotta be cruel to be kind. Oh yeah.
Bleach 1000 Year Blood War Cour 2, The Separation, is awful. Worse than Cour 1. Not just in terms of characters and plot, but even the fighting. You know that saying 1 step forward and 2 steps back? Well, Cour 2 didn't make any steps forward. It only went back. We pick up with Ichigo after the whole Zangetsu revelation thing, and he's with Ichibei.
How incredibly pathetic. 1,000 years of peace have caused the Soul Reapers to become weak.
Oh, for fuck's sakes. What is your problem? The Gote 13 isn't weak. Yhwach and the Quincy are just really, really powerful. Dude, at this point, I'm actually cheering for the Stern Ritter to beat up Squad Zero. There isn't much information about the first war, but we are told that the Gote 13 was stronger back then. The thing is, I'm pretty sure Yhwach is stronger now. The Stern Ritter are stronger now. They're all equipped with Bankai Stealing abilities now, and they all have Volstern Dish now, which is kind of like a Quincy Bankai, which allows them access to even more abilities. So maybe Ichibei and the rest of Squad Zero secretly hate the current Gote, because I'm pretty confident that the Quincy army now wouldn't have lost to the original Gote. Anyway, Ichigo's concerned about everyone else in the Serite and goes to leave, but Ichibei tells him if he goes now, he won't stand a chance against Yhwach. Now, this is one of those things that makes me wonder how aware the characters in universe are of the universe they're in. Because full-bring Ichigo in Bankai, while severely beaten up and without holification, was able to keep up with Yhwach, and his boot vein was strong enough to stop a blade thrust from him. That was a much, much weaker Ichigo. Ichigo now is the most powerful he's ever been, by a colossal margin. And yes, that's including Dangai. Just like the Zero Division is more powerful than the entire Gote 13, Ichigo alone should be more powerful than them too. So why does Ichibei say Ichigo doesn't stand a chance? Was he lying? Because even if he was, Ichigo himself should know that's BS. And for those of you wondering about my math, Old Man Zangetsu just said Ichigo was only ever able to use the power he couldn't suppress, which he refers to as a fragment. A fucking fragment of Zangetsu's total power. So not only did Ichigo get his full Zangetsu powers, but he now also has Quincy power from Old Man Zangetsu that were just recently awakened due to Quilljay's jail. And he ate a bunch of soul food to further increase his own power level. And if that wasn't powerful enough, he should also have a brand new Bankai and should still be able to holify on top of all that. So yeah, Ichigo by default should be a gazillion times more powerful than he's ever been, which should automatically put him above just about everyone else in Bleach. Theoretically, if Ichigo was in his current state when he first met Yhwach, it should be Yhwach who doesn't stand a chance because of how powerful Ichigo is. But then again, the power levels in Bleach can be very, let's just say, confusing. The next scene is of Yhwach giving his Stern Ritter and Soul Dots a really funny speech. Yhwach says the final battle will begin soon and that both the Soul Society and the Soul Reapers will be destroyed. It's funny because the only reason that didn't happen the first time is because Yhwach and the Stern Ritter are literal troglodytes. The Serite and everyone still living in it would have already been destroyed if Yhwach simply took the right actions to make it so. That's all it's ever really been. Not just with Yhwach and the Quincy, but also with Ginjo and Aizen. They all had the strength, abilities, information, and allies. The problem is they're just fucking stupid. They're all morons. The three main villains of Bleach are complete dipshits. Kubo simply can't write competent villains. And I have a theory as to why. In regards to Yhwach, Aizen, and Ginjo, victory for them was too easy. All three of these guys and the people that followed them were way too powerful, with all sorts of crazy abilities. So much so that they had to be stupid. If they weren't, they would win. And of course, I understand that there are those who believe these characters are actually very intelligent and even genius. But in my experience, more often than not, these people think this because they believe having overly complicated and convoluted plans that oftentimes contradicts the character's own goals equals high IQ. And because most of them probably never thought about the antagonist's goals and how they went about reaching them in the first place. But back to the speech. Yhwach tells the Quincy that he has chosen Uryu Ishida, one of Ichigo's best friends and a man he just met, to be his successor. Why? I have no fucking idea.
Why me? Why was I chosen as your successor?
I'm sure if you just give it a little thought, the reason why I'm choosing you as my successor should become completely obvious.
No, Yhwach. It really isn't.
I believe that you already know. You're the one. Out of all the Quincy's throughout history, you are the only one who was ever able to survive the Auswählen, and not by accident. There's a reason you survived that day.
So one of two things is happening here. Either Yhwach is lying about why he really wants Uryu, or he doesn't actually know how his own powers work, because Ryukin, Masaki, Ichigo, Karin, and Yuzu all survived the Ash Wailing. Masaki only died because there was a hollow in front of her, which means Uryu isn't that special. But even if that wasn't the case, why would you want Uryu to join and be your successor anyway? Is Yhwach literally retarded? Because I'm starting to think he is. This whole thing about Uryu joining the Quincy is just superfluous. It doesn't make any sense, and he's obviously going to betray Yhwach. Shortly after Uryu joins the Quincy, he drinks a bit of Yhwach's blood and is granted a script like the other Stern Ritter. And this is when I realized Kubo put little to no thought at all in how Yhwach and the Stern Ritter's powers would work in relation to each other, because he essentially created an infinite loop. What I mean by that is, if Yhwach can grant powers to people who consume just a few drops of his blood, then why isn't everyone in his army a Stern Ritter? All the regular foot soldiers should all have special powers. There seems to be dozens, if not hundreds of soldates. So obviously the letters would repeat, but if it's as simple as them drinking a bit of his blood, why aren't there hundreds of Stern Ritter? Can he not make more, or is this just another reflection of his low IQ? Based on the information given, I'm going to assume Yhwach can definitely make more Stern Ritter, but just chooses not to do so. And don't forget either, Quincy can absorb Reishi to make themselves stronger, so if Yhwach making more Stern Ritter would have cost him too much of his own power, he could have absorbed Yamamoto, Ichigo, Kenpachi, Haribel, and just about anyone else with an ability called Sclave Rai. It's a power we saw Quilljay use in Wako Mundo, which is basically the Quincy ability to absorb Reishi dialed up to 11. If Yhwach wasn't stupid, he would just absorb Uryu too. It's kind of funny to think about, because what does Bankai plundering even matter if the Stern Ritter can absorb literally anything? People, sand, air, buildings, and even powers. I don't think Kubo realized what he did here. There doesn't even seem to be any defenses to Sclave Rai, other than potentially being much more powerful than the person using it or just breaking their halo. The Stern Ritter are obscenely overpowered. More overpowered than any other group we've seen thus far. They can absorb anything the Soul Reapers can do and then just absorb the Soul Reapers themselves. Now that I think about it, why didn't Yhwach just absorb Aizen and instruct the Stern Ritter to do the same with the Soul Reapers they defeated, since they obviously didn't want to kill them? I can't even decide anymore. Is Yhwach dumb or is Kubo? After Uryu gets his script, Yhwach invades the Soul Society again, and this time they transform the entire Serite in a matter of seconds. Why didn't they do this the first time? LOL, that's why. So here we are in Invasion 2. Over the course of the next 10 episodes, we are subjected to some of the most painfully expository and nonsensical fights we've ever seen in Bleach. Starting with Toshiro and Bazby.
Okay, what the hell is that?
Seeing as how I'm feeling generous, I'll tell you our secret. First, I used my Heineko to create multiple thin layers of ash. Then the captain covered those layers with a very thin layer of ice. Then 3, 2, 1, meow. Finally, I just turned my Heineko back into a sword. Et voila! A beautiful millefeuille of ice with vacuum layers.
To compensate, I've been diligently training myself to fight with less ice. It seems I'm able to block flames of your level, but then that really isn't saying very much, is it?
Your sense of enemy and ally has been reversed, making you attack your own side. All thanks to my Bankai. Sakashima Yokoshima Happo for 7. What's the matter? Feeling sick or something?
What is this?
Sakanade. It's my Zanpakuto. Everything you see is suddenly reversed. Up is down and left is right. Makes it very difficult to fight.
Kokujo Tengen Myo'o is an armor bankai that is imbued with life. Dangai Joe is its form stripped of armor, exposing only its spiritual pressure and power.
Bankai.
Kinshara Butodan.
Impossible!
No Zanbato exists that can manipulate both fire and water at the same time. This has to be some sort of deception.
You're right. My technique is based on deception. I can control music and make it serve me. You can't resist it, can you? That deceptive melody echoing in your ears is captivating your heart, isn't it? And when your heart is captivated by my spell, you will burn.
You froze my thorns, but what of it? I told you before, it cannot be stopped by ice. My fear does not require an open wound to enter its victim. The slightest contact with the skin allows it to dissolve and seep in. Nothing you do can defend against it. Nothing. For every person, there are things that make them feel safe, and things that evoke fear in them. The difference is, when they enter a place of safety, they can't explain why it is they feel safe. They can only offer a vague reason, like, it just does. However, when they enter a place of fear, even the dullest simpleton can provide a clear reason for the fear it evokes in them. It's cold. It's too high. It's filthy. They can give you an entire list of fears, because while feelings of safety are tied to life, feelings of fear are tied to death. Even those who can't give you reasons to live can readily provide reasons for not wanting to die. And it's not just those creatures that possess feelings. All living things instinctively avoid death. And what is another word for that? Fear. Everything that possesses life lives to avoid fear, trains itself, and strengthens itself to avoid fear, and grows up learning all of the ways to avoid fear. As long as you're alive, fear will always have an effect. There is no escaping it.
I know. And that's exactly why your fear won't work on me. You don't get it. It seems to have escaped you that I'm not alive right now.
What are you talking about?
So Deno Shirayuki is not a sword that emits freezing air from its tip. What it is instead is a zanpakuto that lowers the body temperature of its possessor to below freezing. Everything it touches freezes over. The blade does nothing more than extend the range of its effect.
Don't be ridiculous. If you were to lower your body temperature to below freezing, all of your bodily functions would cease. You wouldn't even be alive.
Exactly. I'm dead right now. You see, by carefully controlling and regulating my reishi, I've gained the ability to temporarily kill my body.
Yeah,
Hey,
that
man,
variety makes life freer.
That
It makes it
makes
open.
no fucking sense to me at all.
All molecular activity within my body has ceased. That means even if your fear did seep into me, it lost all of its effect the moment it touched my body.
Episode 10 is when Ichigo finally comes back down from the Soul King Palace. He's immediately face to face with some Stern Readers, and I actually thought something cool and very satisfying was gonna happen here. You know, like Ichigo running through these guys with his new Zanpakuto like a total Chad, just swiftly and skillfully taking everyone out. Something similar to how he was when he went Bankai against Ginjo. A very serious and no-nonsense kind of vibe. But no. Instead, this asshole just clowns around with the Stern Reader girls and doesn't even seem to want to kill them.
You're gonna have to do better than that! Don't, you idiot!
I said before that Cour 2 took 2 steps back, and this is one of them. The seriousness of the situation. The Quincy are literally trying to end the world as we know it, and in the process of doing so, they've managed to kill thousands of Soul Reapers, including Ginryusai fucking Yamamoto and his lieutenant. They nearly killed Byakuya and Rukia, which is why Ichigo was so angry when he first appeared in part 1. Then they arrive again for a second invasion to just continue their indiscriminate killing of Soul Reapers. And Ichigo is just acting a fucking fool. I actually hate this. I don't think I've ever seen Ichigo as angry as he was when he first saw the destruction the Quincy caused in part 1. But now here he is stronger than ever with the power to end this war and easily able to kill these murdering bitches, and he just doesn't. Why? Ichigo knows that the Quincy are just gonna kill and destroy more and more until there's nothing left of the Serite. It's the reason why he was in such a hurry from the royal palace to begin with. But once he finally gets here, it's like he completely forgot what he was supposed to be doing. This clown didn't even want to hurt the Stern Ritter. You know what? Screw it. I'm cheering for the Quincy's now. I'm tired of your bullshit, Ichigo. And speaking of bullshit, this right here, what I'm about to show you, is max level bullshit. As a matter of fact, it's a flat out war crime.
Leith Reagan.
Nope, your eyes do not deceive you. That's Uryu shooting his regular ass arrows that just cut and pierced Tsushikai Ichigo. Yes, I know Uryu recently got a script from Yhwach, but holy hell, how is that able to compare to what Ichigo currently is now? How can any of these people compare to what Ichigo is now? Somehow Robert, Meninas, and Basby are all able to keep up with and even outspeed Ichigo. I don't even know what's going on anymore. Why the hell does Tsushikai Ichigo need Renji to save him? He even got saved by Chad. Fucking Chad. Who the fuck wrote this? Why would you have Ichigo behave this way? The Stern Ritters actually did more damage to each other than Ichigo did to them. Tsushikai Ichigo somehow performs worse against the Quincy than Fullbring Ichigo did. What the hell are these power levels? I hate this kind of writing so much. For a multitude of reasons, but mainly because it implies that Ichigo is slower than both the person attacking him and the person saving him. It's just pathetic. We did all that training and self-discovery with Ichigo only to have him get bitched by Uryu and some random Stern Ritter. How is this even possible? When Ichigo first sees the Quincy light shooting up to the Soul King Palace, why couldn't he just flash step / Sonido / Hirenkyaku instantly over to it? How can the Stern Ritters keep up with him? If Ichigo didn't want to hurt or kill the Bambis, why did he even draw his swords? And more importantly than all that, why didn't the Bambis think it necessary to use Volstern against Ichigo?
Let's hit him with you-know-what!
Seriously?
Oh, but that always makes me so tired.
Seems a little overkill if you ask me.
They called Kenpachi a monster due to his power and resilience, but Ichigo should be astronomically more powerful than Kenpachi and every other member of the Gotei 13. Can they not sense that? Why were they so casual when dealing with Ichigo? The Quincy King himself was put on high alert by a significantly weaker and significantly slower, beaten down half-dead Ichigo with a fragile Zanpakuto. Make it make sense. Is Tsushikai Ichigo just not as powerful as I thought he was? Because these random bitches are not just able to keep up with Ichigo, but they were also able to overpower him a few times. I don't know what's going on here, and I'm not exactly sure what it is Kubo is trying to tell me, but I absolutely fucking hate it. At one point, Candace gets hit with 2 massive Getsuga Tenshos, and it somehow doesn't kill her. I'm sorry, but if Candace can survive that, she can survive fucking anything. I'm not a power scaler or a versus battle guy, but 2 named Getsuga Tenshos from Tsushikai Ichigo would automatically be in the upper echelon of the most powerful attacks ever used in Bleach. Unless, of course, like I said earlier, Tsushikai Ichigo is nowhere near the power level I think he is. By the way, I couldn't help but notice Ichigo's Fullbring stuff is gone now. Was I actually right about what I said in my Fullbring video? Cause it seems Kubo got rid of that shit. The final 3 episodes of the Cour is all about Yhwach versus the Zero Division. Yhwach has Uryu, Hashwat, Nizol, and his royal guard. Nizol is dealt with pretty quickly and the rest of the Quincy are all trapped in a big tree cage. Now it's right around here I was expecting Yhwach and the Quincy to go crazy. This is the Zero Division after all. I was expecting them all to power up their scripts and activate Volstern, and I was expecting Yhwach to use Yama's Bankai at some point, but none of this happens. What actually happens is much worse. The Zero Division introduces themselves to the Quincy, then Nemaya comes forward to one-shot all 4 members of Yhwach's royal guard. The only Quincy left standing are Yhwach, Uryu, and Hashwat. And you know what Yhwach does? He takes his medallion, throws it out of the cage, and swaps places with it. So, now Uryu and Hashwat by themselves have to fight 4 members of the Zero Division, one of whom just casually killed all 4 members of the Quincy Royal Guard. Basically they're screwed. Or maybe not, because through the power of plot, Nemaya just decides not to kill them. Hashwat activates his script and Nemaya just walks away. He doesn't get very far though because Askin is still alive, and with his script, the death dealing, he kills Nemaya. Or rather he would have killed Nemaya if he would just shut the fuck up. Nemaya, after hearing this very valuable information, drains his own blood and gets it replenished with Tenjiro's hot spring. Then he proceeds to cut Askin down again. I'm a little surprised he didn't just cut his head off to be safe, but oh well. Askin is defeated, and Hashwat and Uryu are pretty easily defeated as well. So now, Yuha is the last Quincy standing. He's going head to head with Ichibe, but things aren't going very well. Ichibe has a very strange Zanpakuto that cuts names in half, and when he cuts Yuha's name in half, his power also becomes halved. It seemed like I was going to be faced with even more disappointment, but then Yuha activates Ashwaylen. Ashwaylen takes power and life from the Quincy and the Serite to revive and boost the powers of himself, Hashwat, Uryu, and the Royal Guard. I'm rooting for the Quincy now, so I am glad Yuha used Ashwaylen, but it's such an inconsistent ability. Why did it shoot straight past Ichigo when he's a full-blown Quincy now? Did Yuha purposely not target him? Why would it take everyone's powers but not his? And why does Ashwaylen instantly kill some Quincy but only takes powers from others? And I gotta give a quick shout out to my boy Ichibe. As someone who's now siding with the Quincy, I really appreciate you just standing there and doing nothing while Yuha restores his own power and revives the other Quincy. Also, strangely enough, it seems like Ashwaylen increased the IQ of the Quincy Royal Guard, because they immediately activate Volsterndich once they're revived. Lille, the X-axis, even uses his script and it's really powerful. He's able to shoot through 2 Zanpakutos to put a hole in Nemaya's chest. Kiryu makes another massive tree cage splitting up the Stern Ritter, but it's of no use. The Stern Ritter, now all powered up from Ashwaylen and Volsterndich, easily defeats Squad Zero. And this is worthy of celebration. Squad Zero got their asses handed to them. I will say though, if the Stern Ritter weren't so reckless the first time around, they probably could have beaten Squad Zero without the help of Yuha. But you know what they say, teamwork makes the dream work. Wait, what are you guys doing? Why'd you bring the barely conscious members of Squad Zero to a center platform? Oh God, don't tell me you guys are about to do something dumb.
The Royal Special Task Force assigned to protect the Soul King ain't gonna let a bunch of Quincy's get the best of them, I'll tell you that. So Squad Zero front and center, up on your feet, everyone! Senjumaru, you're gonna be the one who kills them.
How about no? Lille, shoot them. All of them.
Now watch what happens when Squad Zero gets serious.
Wait, they're killing themselves? Okay, whatever. Just shoot this bitch then. Come on, Lily. Use your script and kill her. Right now. Lily, Gerard, Hashwat, Uryu, Pranita, Askin, anyone. Please, don't let her do whatever it is she's about to do. You have the W, don't throw it away.
Prepare yourselves. Bankai.
Oh, it's just a Bankai. Damn. I gotta be honest, Senjumaru, you really scared the shit out of me for a second. If your trump card is a Bankai, that shouldn't be a problem for my boys here. Between the 6 of them, surely someone has a medallion to try and steal your Bankai, right?
Shida no rokushiki ukimono hata.
Okay, guess not. Well, there goes the Quincy Royal Guard again. Jesus, everyone's so stupid. Including Yuha. He gets beaten by Ichibe, who uses both Shikai and Bankai against him. And yes, I know Yuha's eyes are closed or whatever, but he doesn't even use Sanct Zwinger or Sklave Rai. None of them do. They're all so stupid. Yuha doesn't even use his own Volsterndish. It's really hard for me to be on anyone's side in this show, but for now, I am still rooting for Yuha solely because I've seen every member of Squad Zero get beaten except Ichibe. And even though it's been years since I've read the manga version of the Blood War, I still remember what Yuha does next. So I guess I'll be happy in the end. 100%. I stand by everything I said about the Fullbring arc. But now that I'm here at what I think is the halfway point of the Blood War, I really do think it's worse. I think the writing's worse, I think the characters are worse, there's way too much retconning for my liking, and the main antagonist is way dumber than any of the ones before him. The only positives I can honestly come away with is that it all looks nice. The soundtrack is still good, and there are a few fights that on hype and spectacle alone are worth the watch. Yamamoto vs. Yuha being the main example. No other fight or action sequence comes close to that in my opinion. It's the best in part 1 and part 2. Yuha and his Royal Guard versus the Zero Division was incredibly disappointing. Most of that fight plays out the way it did simply because all the characters involved are brain dead. So far, Yuha has been the worst and most moronic villain in all of Bleach. And since he's kind of a hot topic, let me talk about Grammy for a sec. I don't have a problem with his character or who he is, but his powers and power level really bothers me. I think the Visionary is the most out of place Stern Ritter ability. And you might say that's the point, that's what makes it interesting, that a kid has such incredible power. But then I would say to you, okay, zoom out. All the way out. Gremmy isn't a character in a vacuum. He's a part of a world with dozens of other characters with their own abilities and motivations. And this is my problem with Gremmy's script. Yhwach is willing to kill Quincy simply for losing a battle, and he's also willing to absorb their powers without warning should it benefit him. So why would he allow an unstable kid such as Gremmy to keep this insane power? If Yhwach had simply taken Gremmy's power for himself, or even just used them sensibly, this whole war would be over. And that's like the second or third time I've said that. He's just so stupid it's frustrating. And if for some reason Yhwach just wanted to let Gremmy keep all his power, he should have kept him close like Uryu and Hashwalt. His imagination powers are really dangerous, and I don't think Gremmy has the mental fortitude to properly handle it, which is how he basically lost to Kenpachi. Another route Yhwach could have taken with Gremmy is he could have put him in the same position as Naizo and the Royal Guard, where they're completely hidden away until Yhwach needs them for the Soul King Palace. But it's too late now. Yhwach completely wasted him. I think the Stern Ritter in general were wasted. Yhwach has a list of people he considers to be quote-unquote special threats, and he also has over 24 Stern Ritters at his disposal, yet none of them was ever tasked with finding and killing these special threats. Not even Yhwach himself seems to care about them. In the first invasion, he said it would take too long to kill Aizen, but in part 2, he makes 0 attempts to deal with Aizen or any of the other special threats. Yhwach might be Kubo's worst written character by far, and he's definitely the worst villain I've seen thus far. He's an awful leader with 0 charisma, 0 personality, and 0 strategic capability. There is nothing interesting about him aside from how stupid he is, and not a single thing he's done thus far has made any sense. This guy legitimately makes Aizen and Ginjo look like intellectual superpowers. No other arc in Bleach has bothered me as much as the Blood War. It genuinely angers me the more I think about it, and I don't believe the second half will be any better either. At this point, I'm mostly just curious about how bad things will get before it all ends. Anyway, I'm going on vacation now.
And now when I look back